have knowledge of the decisions being made. So have knowledge of the decisions being made, but also have an opportunity to provide timely feedback both during and after the decision-making process. We want to have a closer connection between our leaders and our brothers, and we want to display a strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. To move forward as a fraternity, our next board of directors will need to take that feedback, take the learnings from the COVID era, and combine that with proven business practices to modernize Delta Sigma Pi, create an environment where we can empower brothers and reshape the Delta Sigma Pi experience so all brothers realize the benefits in a way that is personalized to them. I'm running because I have the passion, background, and vision we need to do more of the good things and take on our challenges head on. I've spent my entire adult life in volunteer roles for Delta Sigma Pi. Over the past 4 years, over the past 19 years, I've spent 4 years as a district director, 4 years as a regional vice president, 4 years as a provincial vice president, and 6 out of the past 8 years as chair of 2 national committees, the National Professional Development and the National Alumni Development Committees. From a career standpoint, I've spent my entire 19-year career in the field of marketing, predominantly for tech startup companies, responsible for 6 companies to build communities and create technology systems that not only show and bring us closer to our customer and prospects, but they also help us work more efficiently and effectively across global teams and campaigns. It's through those lenses. A volunteer leader who understands the challenges and what is needed to be successful at every level of leadership, from our collegiate chapters to our national board of directors and our national committees. A career marketer who, in addition to community and efficiency building, has worked through 4 acquisitions, literally rebuilding companies overnight. As well as a person who over the past 7 months has been an active national chair and an active candidate, working with and observing and talking with collegians, alumni, volunteer leaders, and staff to understand what we need to be successful now. It's through those lenses that I've created a platform that's focused on 3 key pillars. Modernizing our ways of work by creating teams that include our alumni experts in technology, marketing, and DEI, and our collegians and alumni brothers, to weave proven business experience and practices with the wants and needs of our brothers to get to the right answers. Communication empowerment, so by breaking down the communication silos between our board of directors and collegiate officers, so we could work as a unified team to solve the challenge in front of us head on and get to better ideas faster. And reshaping the Delta Sigma Pi experience, creating closer connections between our collegians and alumni, redefining our educational programming, and creating a leadership team and bench that is as diverse as our membership. I am looking forward to tonight's conversation and having the opportunity to discuss with both of you, or with all of you. More than happy to continue the conversation after tonight's event. And if you're interested in learning more about me and my background and vision, you can find me on Instagram at Paul4GP, Facebook at Paul4GP, my website, paul4gp.com, or by emailing paul4gp@gmail.com. Thank you everyone once again for the invitation and for the time.
Thanks, Paul. It's up on you, Cory.
Outstanding. Well, hi, everybody. Thanks, Vito. Thanks, FRAC. Hi, Paul. Glad to be here with you all tonight. I'm coming to you live from my basement in Minnesota for this casual town hall. So I'm excited to be here with all of you tonight. So I want to share my personal, professional, fraternal backgrounds with you, along with sharing what I envision for our fraternity in the future. Personally, I am husband to Anna. I am father to Finn, who's going to turn 6 months here soon. And I am a huge proponent of bringing different things into our lives. So we have 2 rescue dogs, Penny Lane and Ramen Noodle. So all of that encompasses a lot of my time outside of Delta Sig world. I'm also a huge baseball fan, which you might endeavor from the items behind me. And I also love playing golf. From a professional side of things, I am the operations business manager at Cameron's Coffee. We sell and distribute our coffee across all 48 states in the contiguous US. And my role as operations business manager is a brand new role created within the company after we were purchased by Grupo Nutrisa, which is a $3 billion company. And as we have our business unit at Cameron's, part of that is $85 million with a goal to double that within the next 5 years. So My role was created to be the communicator and liaison between our Colombian counterparts and international leaders across the entire globe as we improve our process. So I work on capital improvements and campaigns along with strategic priorities. I focus on our new item development and then improve our communications overall across the company internally. I've also worked at multiple different industries, including micro and macro beer. I have industry experience within finance and also the world of pop or soda, depending on where you are in the world. So I've worked with small companies, medium companies, large companies, and in all of those roles, I've started from the bottom and continued to work my way up and be promoted in multiple different positions, including supervisor, management, senior manager of operations, sales manager, and a variety of other roles. So I'm excited to bring all of that experience and transfer that into the Delta Sig world. I was initiated at St. Cloud State in Minnesota in 2006, and I am excited to bring all of that experience that I've had over the last 15 years to continuously give back to the fraternity. Most recently, I've served as North Central Provincial Vice President over the last 4 years and have served all of you as a member of your board of directors. I've also been an RVP and then have traveled to nearly 100 campuses in person. And part of that time was also spent as an educational leadership consultant for the central office. The three things that I've lived by as a volunteer leader have been inform, inspire, and implement. And I'll continue to do that throughout the campaign and as part of my term as GP. Inform means sharing the why in why we are setting the strategic priorities we are, making the decisions that we are, and what those discussions were about. The inform is to create the buy-in, create the excitement, and share all of those information with you and why it impacts each of you. The implement is the what we're going to accomplish in creating those metrics and making sure that everyone has a good understanding of what success looks like at the end. With all of those discussions that I've had over the last 15 years serving on your board of directors, a member of our central office staff, the 5 things that I would focus on as Grand President, and also listening to your feedback and learning to adapt from that and move us forward throughout the pandemic and beyond. So we are striving to thrive. We will focus on leadership development that starts with a board and is palpable at every layer of the organization. I want to make sure that we're training our trainers so everyone has a good understanding of what we're doing. I will be working with us to take a holistic look at our governance and how we are structured as an organization, since it's been 20 years plus since we've looked at that. I will focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, bringing different perspectives, sharing their opinions, actively listening, and making sure that people feel included in that decision-making process so everybody has a welcome and comfortable environment. I'll also look at expansion throughout a variety of different mediums, and as a member of the long-term pandemic task force, taking those learnings into the future. And what ties all this together is communication. Part of being a leader is being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. So in ways like fireside chats with Cory, other Instagram posts, and just making myself readily available and continuously being myself as all of you, whether you know me for a moment or forever, you're going to get me as a person. And that's what I'll bring to you as Grand President. And if you'd like to visit my website, cory4gp.com. Instagram is Cory DSP and Cory CORY and then DSP. And also you can take a look at TikTok. That's a fun environment. So again, excited to be here with all of you and answer your questions and share the time with all of you tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Cory and Paul, for that. That's well spoken, and you guys actually got it down, not a little bit over 3 minutes, but you guys did pretty well on that one. I'm proud of y'all. I knew you guys could get them. For this portion, we're going to go into the Q&A questions that Cory and Paul, Cory and Paul, seeing Cody's face on here has me a little confused. Were sent earlier, and we're just gonna do vice versa on who goes first. So Paul, you're up first. Question number 1. The fraternity has a lot to offer collegiate members, including most of our lead programming. And this is without them having to have served as a chapter officer or even on a committee. They still have the great benefits that we offer our collegiate members because we are a collegiate organization. However, the fraternity does not offer a lot besides volunteer opportunities and ways to donate that are not tax deductible. But there are other organizations that our alumni can do this in, such as religious organizations that they're affiliated with in their local town, and other groups like the Elks and Rotary. What does the fraternity have to offer its alumni that are not related to them having to give back, as is presented with our collegiate members? They do not have to give back to necessarily reap the benefits. And if you cannot think of any right now, no problem. What are some of your ideas to change this in the next minimum 2 years, 4 years?
Yeah, great question, Vito. Thank you for asking it. So, if you think about it, while a lot of our recurring revenue, so to speak, from a marketing standpoint kind of comes from collegiate dues. If you think about it during the recruiting process, what's one of the things you're always promised? To have access to this wide alumni network. And we're also preaching that Delta Sigma Pi isn't just for 4 years, it's just for life. So we really can't have it both ways. And I do think there's a lot of different ways that we can engage alumni. Some you're seeing it right here. A lot of the things we try to do from a National Alumni Development Committee perspective on this, and hopefully will continue as we move on through the bienniums, is really shifting the conversation from we want your lot of time helping chapters, we want your lot of money, and we might have these committee positions, to we want you to help us in the best way that you can. So there are a few ways that you could certainly do this, and a few things that we did to do that. One, opening up opportunities to have alumni offer professional and career advice at the national level. We teamed with the Steel Valley region, New England region, as well as the National Professional Development Committee to have a pretty lengthy campaign. One where we took lost alumni lists, emailed them out, invited them to these career events, which was a career panel on a Saturday and resume review sessions at the back end of March. And we're able to get 100 alumni to volunteer, many of whom we had not seen or had actually come out of the woodwork. And ironically, one was the ex-CEO of John Hancock. The individuals who participated in the panels, those alumni who came back, were super engaged, super excited, and came back for offering other suggestions or to help out with the resume review sessions. And we've heard positive feedback both from the alumni who participated as well as from the folks who attended those panels and had their resume reviews. So I think that's a model we could certainly follow and continue to follow. I think we need to start looking at what are the small things, 1 to 2 things that we could keep doing. They'll make sure that we'll keep alumni engaged and informed. The other piece there is just consistency in programming as well. I think certainly on top of the communication, we do have to do constant check-in with our alumni, survey to understand what do you want from an educational program perspective. What are those other volunteer organizations you're a part of or professional associations you're a part of, and try to leverage some of those relationships there. And the other piece as well that we're actually suggesting as a National Alumni Development Committee is professional interest groups. So one, a really easy opportunity to bring folks together from different or from similar backgrounds, and also give our collegians an opportunity to benefit from some of those experiences. So I think those are a few key items that we could do, but the key point here is it needs to be dedicated, it needs to be sustained. And we also have to kind of flip the definition of success a bit. A lot of research has been proven out for the foundation that just the act of engaging alumni will result in increased donations, but more importantly, increased volunteer leadership as well. And to do that, we just have to keep the mantra of keep on trucking, keep on going, and keep on improving on events, keep on doing more of the events that are good, and ask our alumni and collegians what we're looking to do. So those are a few items, both that we're looking at from a National Alumni Development Committee perspective, and as we kind of go down the stream. But either way, I think once we get people back in and re-engage, we can then start to offer them things like donations and leadership positions. But the key part is just get them in where they are, find opportunities such as career advice, such as professional interest groups, and speaking opportunities that really keep them engaged and give them an opportunity to get back to this organization.
Hey, Cory, before you go, we got a couple questions directly answered at what Paul said. And I think if I wait till the end, it's going to get lost. Mm-hmm. You mentioned special interest groups. What are those? Yeah,
so those are affinity or professional interest groups. So in essence, what those would be groups of brothers from similar professional fields, similar industries, where it's really just almost like the SIGs in the past, but just more from a professional interest perspective, where they'd be responsible to network with each other, hold events and things like that. And most importantly, I think what that also does is it also gives our collegians a really good group of individuals that they could reach out to, that they can converse to for specific education areas as well. So I hope that answered the question.
So for clarification, it's not a thing yet. It's something you're planning on implementing.
Correct.
Got that, brothers? All right, Cory, you're up next, man.
All right, good stuff. I think the best question that we can ask is, what's your passion? When people start transitioning from their collegiate career to their alumni career, is making sure that we're making that connection early on in their Delta Sig life, so that it is not a brand new endeavor and a brand new relationship that we're creating. We want to foster that from the collegiate level and on up. Sometimes people will have a great collegiate experience and choose not to participate as an alumni, whether it's early or later on in their life cycle. We want to make sure that we're empathetic to individual situations and finding ways to cater to them and finding ways on which they want to give back and stay involved. Everyone is going to have a different answer. So I think it's going to be important for us to take a look from an entire organizational standpoint and start bringing some people in that have good outside experience with this or have a passion for engagement with alumni. We've done some of this in the past with some of the foundation efforts as we started looking at some possible capital campaign pieces. And I think there's some learning from that organization that can be transferred into the fraternity. So I think there's some great opportunities for us to partner with the foundation in finding the right people in different industries and different ways to foster that professional development. The other thing that I'd like to emphasize with this question is we have an obligation as Delta Sigs to continuously give back throughout our lifetime to the fraternity. So I would ask you, Delta Sigs, ask not what the fraternity can do for you, but what you can do for the fraternity. And with that engagement throughout the different levels of your Delta Sig life cycle, I think there's great opportunities for you to continuously build on your professional development and increasing the skills that you would like to have to transfer into other aspects of your life while still having that brotherhood and community effort within Delta Sigma Pi. So I think one of the things that we would be able to do is empower the alumni that we have to start reaching out to people that they think that would be good at reaching back out. One of those ways that we could do that is finding those key players within each industry, within each chapter, and find out who those pledge brothers that they had were, those people that they were close to within the chapter, and say, hey, would you be able to reach out to these folks and see how they would like to be involved? That's the way that we'll be able to grow the fraternity and grow all of our networks. Part of this might have to do with enacting a task force or working through the Alumni Development Committee to engage these brothers and set forth a clear direction on a start and stop time and what we want to define as success for that project. So I think there's a lot that we can give back as alumni to the organization. That's one of the reasons that I am running for Delta Sigma Pi. Delta Sigma Pi's Grand President is that this is fun for me. I love doing this. I love giving back. I love helping other people grow. Not everyone's going to run for Grand President. I understand that. Not everyone's going to want to be an RVP or a DD, but there's going to be ways for people that we can reach out to them and say, what do you like to do? What's fun for you? And how can we transfer that into being a mutually beneficial relationship with Delta Sigma Pi and all of our brothers?
All right, Cory, here's your cleanup question. It's kind of a two-parted one, but I'm just mixing what two people said to here. One, did you just partially quote JFK and change the word? Two, so are you basically saying the main way to engage alumni is that they have to give back, whereas the collegiates don't have to give back as much?
JFK quote, yes, absolutely. Took that and turned it in my own words. And then on the second portion of the question, I think all of us have an obligation to give back in whatever way that is. I think for every credit, there's also going to be a debit. So everything that we put in, we're also going to get something out that's greater in return. So I think the part that we give back as Delta Sigs and part of the foundation that we have as brothers in Delta Sigs is that service aspect and always wanting to give back. And I think you can give while also receiving. And I think there's a give and take throughout that. And there's going to be points in each person's life where they're able to give more. And there's going to be times where they're going to need to take from the brotherhood. And I think the best way to do that is just continuously build relationships.
Copy that. All right, well, Cory, I hope you're ready to keep talking because we're going to let you start this one off. We're about to go into a challenging biennium. We have to replace our good old executive director, Bill Schilling, with a permanent replacement. Big changes in the CEO staffing, the world of DEI, collegiate and alumni brothers holding, probably going to be holding this board more openly accountable than any other brotherhood population in the past. Plus, we are going to be in a post-pandemic world, and many other things are going to come your way. What makes you feel and believe you're the best person to serve as Grand President during that time period? And also, are you a little bit crazy for wanting to do that? Just let us know.
I'll answer that last part first. I think we're all a little bit crazy for wanting to put as much time and effort and give back in this way. But I think it's a fun opportunity for us to do that. In terms of the central office staffing and finding a new executive director, I believe that I'm uniquely qualified to serve in that role as Grand President. I think we're going about it the right way throughout the process right now as I serve on your board of directors, as we start to put together a recruitment effort, finding out who we would want to have as a selection committee, bringing in Delta SIGs, non-Delta SIGs, people that have a good opportunity. And the thing to remember as a Grand President, I have one vote at the end of the day. So we want to make sure that we're setting the right expectations for that recruitment and selection as we move forward with finding that replacement for Bill, who's served over 25 years, which is absolutely incredible within the Greek industry. That's extremely rare. And we've grown tremendously over those 25 years, both financially and in terms of brotherhood, over whatever you would like to use as a key metric for that. So I think with the time that I spent on staff, working intricately with Bill, helping plan Grand Chapter Congress in 2011, working as a staff member, sitting on the outside, looking into the board table while I was on staff, traveling to over 75 universities in a variety of different capacities, and then finding those ways to set the expectation of here's what we would want to look for in terms of skill set in that executive director and how we can help shape the future of the staffing. And I think we've started some of that process already by hiring new communication staff specifically for that role, and then having that succession plan. So we're able to have that interim person right now move in that has a lot of operational knowledge of the fraternity. So I think that I'm uniquely qualified with that piece of it from a fraternal standpoint. And if you look at how many people would have been on staff and then became Grand President, that's a very small number. So that's great. And then with my opportunities in my professional career, working across international boundaries, working with executive leadership teams, both internally and externally, and being that liaison between large company and small company, I think that I have a great skill set in being able to connect with those people that might want to join and be able to push them to provide answers for us that we would want to see as an executive director. I don't know, did that answer? There's a bunch of different parts of that question. And then in the post-pandemic world too, Vito, I think Delta SIG's most prosperous days are ahead of us. We have a lot of opportunity, natural opportunity right now. So let's harness that. Let's find ways to help create a brand new culture for people and give everybody the resources that they need to be successful and start putting ourselves out there and being in front of people both virtually and continue that from the pandemic era and being able to connect across ways that we never were before, but also put ourselves out there in in-person scenarios.
All right, go ahead, Paul.
Perfect. Do I get the crazy question too, or did I just get the first part?
Oh, no, you got to answer that one too, bro.
Yeah, I think it's called passion. I think that's definitely passion in that piece there. So yeah, no, I definitely think if you think of a lot of what are the issues that we're facing or what a lot of the concerns or opportunities that we have now, they really focus on communication. They really focus on modernization. They really focus on making better use of technology, and they really focus on collaboration and listening. I've literally built my entire 19-year professional career and 19-year fraternal career on those two things. I covered on the first part there. I've been recruited for the past 3 jobs to be the first modern marketer at many of these companies, to be the person who's negotiating these contracts with these vendors to set up really robust marketing and sales systems that, like I said, help us not only to communicate with each other more effectively, but also to communicate with our customers and our prospects where they are. I've been doing this web thing, this webinar thing, this web communication thing since literally the dawn of digital marketing, or at least the more modern digital marketing since 2006. Running webinar programmings consistently, needing to work across remote teams with colleagues as far away as China and Dublin and Salt Lake City. And coupled with the fact that I've also been doing that since I've been 23 as a Delta Sigma Pi volunteer leader. Literally, working coast to coast at the age of 23 with people from California, the middle of the country, the south of the country as well. And I think the most important part of that is, I've been an active participant over these past, 19 years as a volunteer leader and 21 years as a Delta Sig, and it's produced some results. From a modernization perspective, I went over some of the accomplishments that we've done from a National Alumni Development Committee perspective. From a professional development perspective, I was a professional development chair that brought in the President's Academy and led the committee that had volunteer online training. And those things, those accomplishments were all coming from, one, seeing what's going on in the environment, leveraging the learnings I had from the business world, and then more importantly, listening to what folks want. That career panel, for example, that came out of fall sessions that we did with the VPARs and vice presidents of collegiate relations, volunteer online training that we did back when I was professional development chair. That came from surveys that we did with the volunteer leaders. And I think, in terms of the hiring for staff and things like that, certainly as an early employee of tech startups, we're forced not only to focus, but also to set agendas and vision, and also understand what do we need in our next teammates. And I've been involved with not only kind of coming up with those plans, but also with the hiring process as well. And hiring both our, my direct reports and managing an internship program. So when we think about what do collegians need to be successful, I've been working with them for many years as an intern. I'm working in a tech space, which is in high demand, marketing e-commerce solutions, which are skill sets that are popular. So I think it gives me a unique understanding, not only of, what are the modern business practices, what are the best things that we could do to stay relevant in a digitally focused world, but most importantly, then how do we teach these brothers to get the most out of their business skills? And how do we help Delta Sigma Pi give them the best opportunity to do that? So I certainly think it's the depth and breadth of the experience, as well as the ability to listen, collaborate, and not being afraid to having conversations and taking out ideas in the perspective is exactly what we need for our next president. And I think the skill set that I bring in there.
That's great. Actually, what you just said pivots into the next question. So in some ways, the fraternity is, like Cory said, our fraternity days are definitely, the best days might be ahead of us, and definitely in the technology department, we pray. It's time to bring it into the 2020s and make things better. What are your ideas or plans to upgrade our technology, or just simply to make that area of the fraternity better if you're elected Grand President?
So yeah, I'm the tech. I love tech. Literally, I'll have conversations about Salesforce and marketing automation all day, and I could just be as happy as a clam. So there's a couple of facets that we have here, but the first part is really taking an audit of where we are from a technology perspective. I've bought technology, I've marketed technology, I've implemented technology. So I know how difficult it could be to try to actually purchase programs, implement programs, if you don't necessarily have the right vision in mind. So what I want to do, and I sort of mentioned this in my opening statement, is bring together the people in our alumni network who work in technology, the people who work in retail tech, the people who work in kind of traditional technology, who bought technology, who implement technology, and really marry them with our staff and our collegiate and alumni to come together with a concrete roadmap that takes into account what do we need to have a minimum viable product to really address our technology needs, and then really come back with a budget of what is the Cadillac plan, what is the just a little bit above your budget plan, and here's what you can afford. So I think we have those pieces there, and then driving off of that is really kind of creating a very interconnected technology structure. So one where we can make the hub a true hub, one where it's literally something that you want to go into, that's a Facebook of Delta Sigs, a LinkedIn for Delta Sigs, where not only are you able to kind of fill out your initial paperwork as a member, but you're able to go in there to find other alumni, other volunteers, people in the Delta Sigma Pi network who could help you in your career. So there's those pieces there. And the other piece, I think most importantly to that as well, is I love the Facebook groups and the Slack channels and the group me's and the text chains that our officers in our various across the country have. I've seen some amazing results. Quite honestly, FRAC is one of them. And I've participated in panels that have been brought together because of these text chains. But what I'm starting to hear, and I think what is just a natural facet of things, is a lot of this knowledge is getting lost because it's getting lost in transitions. So when I think of the big wins I really want to do is really create some technologies within either the Lincoln Learn app, the DSP Lead app, or within the hub itself, where we have these dedicated officer channels right in a centralized platform. And I think there's a couple of benefits in addition to not losing the knowledge from officer transitions, but I've seen this work amazingly well in some of the tech companies I've worked with, and that now central office staff, our volunteer leaders, as well as our national committee chairs, have real-time access to the questions that are being asked by our members, but most importantly, have an opportunity to see what some of the answers are coming from. And then we can leverage those learnings to improve our educational offerings, to include our playbooks for our officers and our manuals for our officers. And then most importantly, do a better job of onboarding and training new officers and volunteer leaders armed with that knowledge. So those are, kind of a few key pieces there. But the big part is it really starts with a clear vision. It really starts with getting our experts in our alumni network to help us in a way that they can. And by talking to our end users, which are alumni, our staff, and our collegians, we're going to have to use those products in order to get us to the right solutions and really take some small wins as we could get it, and be honest about the budgeting as well, and certainly engage the foundation where we need to if there's some decisions that need to be made or some different purchases that need to be made.
Great, thanks, Paul. What about you, Cory?
Yeah, technology is one of those things that is a collaborative effort between volunteers, both alumni and collegiate, and then our staff, in asking the questions, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and why, and then finding out and developing those lists of what do we want, what do we need, and from that, how much are we willing to spend for those things? Because technology is going to be constantly changing and evolving, and we want to make sure that we're with the times and not falling behind. So I think we have to find a way that we're going to be able to be nimble enough with our technology to serve the people that need it right now and want that right now, and asking that question of, what are you looking for? Are you looking for us as a Delta Sig to develop something extremely unique? Is there something out there already that everybody else is using that we need to put our resources and training behind so everyone has the same and consistent training and mechanisms for connecting and working together? And then finding a way to have a plan moving forward in terms of, we have this now, what's it going to take to maintain this, and what's it going to take to improve this over time? And that's going to evolve. So I think that this is one of those things in terms of technology that we're going to have a brand new board coming on. We're going to have a lot of new staff that are going to be out there. And I think one of the best things that we can do is what I pushed us to do from a pandemic task force piece was bring in those collegiate members, have them share what they're doing. The folks that are out there using these technologies know it better than myself. And so I want to bring in those type of people that are using technologies that I don't even know about. So finding those type of people that are willing to share and collaborate, I think is a great opportunity for us as an organization. So in summary on the technology, I think we need to figure out what worked, what didn't work, learn from our past. Like, does anybody remember Delta Sig InCircle or the GIN system? I can raise my hand to both of those. And now we have Member Planet with a contract that's expiring here soon. So again, we're going to have that opportunity to discuss that as a new board in the fall and what we want to do with that contract, and then what we want to do moving forward. So again, a natural opportunity coming out of the pandemic to see what we're able to accomplish, and then making sure that we have the ability to maintain and grow that, both from a staff standpoint or a service standpoint from whatever technology that we're going to be using.
Good little pivot here. So our volunteer leadership would include whoever the next GP is, our VPF, our RVPs, our PVPs, our DDs, the numerous task force and committee members, those type of people, mainly the guys who are collegiates either elect to lead or the ones that they end up appointing to lead under them, like our beloved DDs who get the first phone call before the RVPs do. What are your ideas or plans to empower our volunteer leadership to share their ideas or just give them a little bit more backup or recognition or whatever they need to, one, have the energy and passion to do their jobs, and two, just give them the help that they need to have their voices heard. You know, as we go down the totem pole as we would, once you get to the probably committee, task force, DD level, and probably RVP level as well, there might be some empowerment changes there. What are your ideas, starting with Cory?
And whether you're a formal leader or an informal leader within Delta Sig, I think the best thing that we can do is provide the training and resources to back you up and build the skill sets that you're going to need to be able to react in a moment, whether that's good or bad, and finding the opportunity for you to know what to do in that exact moment. So in terms of this, you know, I talked about some of the platform pieces from the beginning, and one of those things was leadership development. I think that starts with the board, and I think that continues as not to be a one and done type of a thing, but a continuous action that we have throughout our time as a board. So some of the things that I think past actions indicate is the best indication of future actions. So some of the things that we're actually doing now that are new for the first time ever that I'm excited about is, you know, we're doing RVP training, PVP training in advance of Grand Chapter Congress. We've got the book club that we had, you know, last night. You know, both of us are involved in that and have been actively participating in that. So I think that that's a great way to do things. You know, we've tried some different things throughout the years, both in conjunction with leads or other events, or on an informal way. And I think in terms of myself as a leader, the best way that I can support people is asking, how can I help? And then actually act on those types of things. So whether that's hopping on a phone call or going and visiting a chapter and having those discussions, whether it's saying, you know, this is a tough situation, I believe that it's my responsibility from a grant president standpoint to be the voice in here and hold people accountable. If that's what's needed, I'm willing to do that because I've done that as a PVP, I've done that as an RVP, and I've done that as an educational leadership consultant on staff. So I think the best thing that we can do is know that people have the resources that they need and meeting people where they're at and providing those resources at the moment that they need them. So being fully engaged and knowing that they can come to me in a comfortable environment and share an opinion and say, I want to approach it this way. What do you think? And we might agree, we might disagree, but the thing that everyone's going to know is that they have a comfortable environment and we're going to have an honest conversation. And that's okay. And then we're gonna make our decisions together. But in terms of the board development piece that turns into leadership development for everything else, we'll start day one with some training programs. We'll work on that leadership training from a board and staff standpoint, and then we'll make sure that there's continuous follow-up trainings to that for both the board and everybody else. And I think it's an entire Delta Sig development piece because we want to make sure that the PVPs feel comfortable in training their RVPs, the RVPs feel comfortable training their DDs and finding ways to reach out and do those transitions because we're a collegiate organization. So we want to make sure that we're providing the right feedback to our chapters and developing those relationships. So if there are pieces that we want to start integrating into the collegiate ranks and having all those things be a holistic leadership development program, that would be one of the things that would be a tremendous opportunity for us over the next 2 years and put that into a sustainable format moving forward.
Thank you, Cory. Go ahead, Paul.
Thanks. I love this question, but I feel like we left out a very important part of the leadership team in it. I consider honestly the national leadership team to start at the collegiate chapters. I really feel that our collegiate officers are just as important as our board of directors. And if you think about it, they're really our first line of defense in terms of holding, you know, kind of our collegiate members accountable. So I really do think this is really a holistic thing when you talk about empowerment. And it's also a thing where we need to break down those silos. So it isn't necessarily collegians first board or feelings like collegians first board or volunteers not quite having the same kind of level of communication as RVPs and DDs with the board. And it all starts with accountability conversations. And it all really starts with establishing one, how do we want to communicate with each other? What do we expect out of each other? And then what are the minimum ways that we need to work with each other to be successful? And that also means that we should be talking to each other semester on semester to understand that we're keeping ourselves honest, but more importantly, that we're truly working as that well-oiled machine. And there's a couple of other pieces here as well. I think certainly from an empowerment of our volunteer leader perspective, I think the training point that Cory made was absolutely right. But we really have to look at this from a holistic training perspective of a business leader. So that's not only what you need to be successful as a Delta Sigma Pi volunteer leader, what are those best operational practices, but what are those best managerial practices? Because after all, if we have a very young leader or a very young RVP, this might be the first time they're actually having managerial duties. So we owe it to that brother, not only to make sure that they're getting the most out of their time from a fraternal success perspective, but for a personal success perspective as well. And to me, yes, I do agree we have to, it is, you get as much as you put into it, but we also have to help in order to help people get as much into it. So that's that part there. And I think the other part as well is there's plenty of types of leadership personality type tools out there, which will be part of the technology roadmap and review, where we could literally have our collegiate leaders, our volunteer leaders, take these leadership assessments. And we did one of these at work, and it was amazing because not only did it help me understand what my leadership abilities were and what my tendencies were, but it also taught me how my manager and I will either gel or some areas of potential contention. So as we're having those accountability, conversations, as we're onboarding new leaders, and as we're kind of doing our yearly reviews, I think it's also important to run those type of programs as well, because to be successful, you really have to, from a collegiate officer perspective, you have to know how you're going to gel with your other officers. You have to know how you're going to gel with your district director and RVP, and you have to know how to work with each other at the best. And I think we also carry that philosophy to the board of directors. And I think a huge piece here is when I was regional vice president, one of the things I absolutely loved was involving collegiate officers. Well, I understand not the question focused on alumni, and I will get there, but bringing our collegiate officers together on quasi committees. So we had our presidents working together, we had our alumni relations working together, we had our social chairs working together, and that brought together some regional leads driven by the collegians, so answering their needs. It brought together some great social events, but most importantly, when I was actually thinking about this morning, I stopped being New England Regional Vice President in 2007. From 2007 up until 2017, the New England Regional Vice Presidents during that time, all were collegians during my time as Regional Vice President, all in one way or the other participated in those regional committees and in that regional programming. So that, talk about empowerment, talking about building teams, talking about building passion, I think that's a great way to do it. And as we kind of come up the ranks here from an alumni perspective, one thing I really want to do, and one thing I want to stress with this board of directors is, yes, we're going to develop you. Yes, we're constantly going to be asking, what can we be doing better? How are we doing against our expectations with each other and down with the field? But most importantly, I also want them to serve as big brother type relationships for our chapter officers. So, there'd be someone aligned who's process related to the VPCO. There'd be someone kind of aligned to the SVPs who has a marketing background. And this isn't meant to add any additional work at all to the PVPs, but it is my true sense that having some kind of big rock above helps to really organize things down below and really encourage more communication and collaboration amongst our officers. And most importantly, our board of directors is really going to be in tune with what are the challenges at the field and literally have a voice in those specific conversations at the board level. So I really truly believe from an empowerment perspective, it's constant communication, it's constant training, it's constant kind of asking ourselves, how are we doing against each other? But most importantly, it's just working together. That's where you build the brotherhood. That's where you build the empowerment. And quite honestly, that's where we're going to take advantage of the great opportunities that are coming out of here on the other side of COVID and some of the great learnings that we're getting from the chapters.
Paul, I think you just shot yourself in the foot there because two brothers just sent the exact same question, just worded slightly different, right
Sure.
when you said that. Your cleanup question is, you know that some people, based on leadership titles and personalities, cannot work well together, and you just can't make two people be best friends. What advice do you have when two DDs get appointed by the same RVP and they just butt heads at every DD meeting? Not that they don't get along, but they just have very different ideals on how things should be done. But they are friendly. They are friendly too.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think the big part there, it's on establishing boundaries and really establishing expectations. So, I think really as we're having each of our team conversations, I think we really have to understand, one, what are our expectations in terms of the ways that we're communicating with each other? Two, when we're violating those expectations, I think we definitely have to call each other on it. But then most importantly, I think there has to be some conversations there. If this relationship isn't going to work, then we have to make those decisions of, if you're not going to be productive to the team, then you're really not helping, you're hurting the team. So I think it's definitely, set the expectations, hold people accountable to those expectations. And if they can't live up to the expectations, then, it's time to make some changes in the team. But end of the day, I think healthy discord is okay. I think one of the things I've loved about this National Alumni Development Committee that I chair is it's such a diverse group. It's, it's the Mitch Simmonses, it's the Charlie Kennys, it's the Gail Bombers, the veterans, but it's also some newer folks. It's the Kevin Lims and, some Tracy Taplins who are newer members to, national committees. But we understand how to work with each other, and we're not afraid to have those tense conversations, but we're not afraid because we understand and we're aligned on how we want to be communicating with each other. So I think those are the big pieces there. Conflict's fine, healthy conflict's fine, unhealthy isn't. If there's unhealthy, you have to deal with it. It isn't always rainbow and unicorns.
Right. All right, Cory. In the sake of time, name one idea or plan you have to introduce to the new board that'll help with communication and transparency to all members, whether they be collegiate, alumni, officer, or just the person that attends the meeting or a random alumni happy hour about what's going on in the fraternity.
The best thing that we can do is let folks know that it's okay to share what we're talking about and what we're discussing and what the vision of our discussions are and what the strategic plan that we want to set for the organization will be. I think that's the best thing that we can do, and putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable to say, if you have questions, if you have objections, share those with me. If you have a positive thing to say, please share that too. But we want to make sure that we're on the same page. We want to make sure that from a board standpoint, as we're setting the direction for the fraternity over the next 2 years and beyond, over the next course of the decades, that we're taking into consideration other people's point of views and perspectives. That's what inclusion means. So I think that that's the best thing that we can do in terms of putting ourselves out there. I plan to continue to do those fireside chats with Cory, attempt some humor, put myself out there as a person, not only as a grand president, but making sure that people know who I am as a person and that I represent the organization and that it's a comfortable environment to be in throughout the entire time. I think that as we move through the pandemic, we're having board meetings that are attended by people that never would have had an opportunity to attend board meetings before. And if that's exciting and we want to develop people that way and that's what they're into, then I think that that's something that we can continue. I think there's opportunities for us to go out there and meet people this fall and beyond as it's safe to do so again, and start asking those questions of what are you looking for from me as a leader? And then how can we follow up and make sure that we're accomplishing those goals together. So every collegiate member has the opportunity to say their piece, and I'm going to actively listen at every moment.
Every collegiate member or every member in general, Cory?
Every member in general.
Gotcha. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, so I think the big piece here in terms of communication, I think people just want to be informed. And as a marketing professional and as someone who has, you dealt with organizations both big and small, you could probably communicate in a number of different ways. I'm sure Cory's seeing this as well. And people still feel like they might not be getting the full information, but you can't stop. And I think the big piece here is We just talked about empowerment. We just talked about bringing, or I just talked about bringing the board closer to our collegiate members. So one of the, I think the great things that we could do there is, there are some RVPs out there who literally produce some Reader's Digest versions, and I'm sure there's PVPs as well, of the board agenda, of the recommendations, and they share that information with their chapter officers. That's something I want to replicate nationally. I think it's one, we need to get our recommendation deadlines and agenda deadlines in quicker, while also setting the expectations that things might be fluid. But most importantly, certainly have, and I think with the new communication staff, that's going to be a lot easier to do. But certainly have a consistent document that every single brother, every single president will be seeing, that has consistent questions, that has a consistent narrative, and most importantly is providing some input into what the board will be thinking, what the board will be asking, and then provide a single form that can be filled into at a national level. So then that way, not only are we kind of getting answers to those questions, but we're also having some open-ended questions as well. And it isn't necessarily just what our leaders are hearing in one meeting, but it is also what we're seeing in the data. What are the trends that are coming in to kind of help us understand, is our thinking in the right direction here? Oh, well, maybe we need to shift it kind of based on what we're seeing that this CMP change might mean and the implications that might come down the road. The other piece here is that, we've done town halls in businesses that I've been in as well. It's been amazing during acquisition periods to keep us all connected. And it's been, really great in the company, even with the small company that I'm in at now. We do weekly stand-ups, and I want to continue that. And certainly kind of, one, update folks not only what's going on, but certainly have the chapters come in as well to share some best practices. So it isn't just, our leaders kind of just talking, it's actually getting some value out of it and sharing the good things. And certainly other piece there as well in terms of open communication and transparency and holding ourselves accountable is something that I've actually done in a past company. It's called employee promoter scores. Really simple, 1 to 5 rating scale with an open-ended question of how are we doing? So again, really kind of using that as a way to be proactive in terms of understanding where some issues might be and that could certainly hit our, kind of hit us in the communication standpoint. And the last part here is, you've seen me, a lot of people said, geez, you're all over the place. I see you doing your own forums. I see you doing regional forums and things like that. And that's the kind of thing that I'll be doing as Grand President as well. As we're hearing good things, I'm going to be out there talking to chapters. And most importantly, encouraging my PVPs, if there's a struggling chapter that needs a pat in the back for me to come in to help, or if there's someone that be congratulated for me to come in. So I think those are a few ways. Certainly you check the communication boxes and transparency, and the communication boxes to encourage that human connection to give feedback.
Great. And last question is, we know your campaigns, we know what you guys have been putting on social media, but at the end of the day, why do you truly want to be the Grand President of this fraternity? We'll start with you, Cory.
I want to be Grand President because I believe that this is the best way for me to give back to the organization at this point in my life. Serving on the board of directors over the last 5 years has been one of the greatest joys of my life. And I want to be able to continue giving back in that way. I feel with my background that I'm the right person at the right time for Delta Sigma Pi. And I think that being Grand President is a great way for me to give back everything that's been given to me from this great organization. I joined as a freshman. The most professional thing I had was a pair of cargo pants, a sweater, and Doc Martens. I came from a blue collar family, and now I have come from that, and I've run Coors distribution business. I've run a microbrewery, and now I am the main communications person and liaison on all of our projects as we move forward in an international organization. So I feel that I owe it to the organization to give back. And I feel that at this point in my life, being Grand President and serving all of you in that role is the best way I can serve Delta Sigma Pi.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Okay, just making sure. So other than, my kids being born and getting married, I don't think I've ever been so excited for an opportunity. And it's really a passion. When I walked in to the Grand President's Dance in Atlanta, I had a feeling, I just had a feeling that I was going to run for Grand President, that now was the time for me to run for Grand President. But I always tell my kids that you can't just say because, and you can't necessarily just go on a feeling. So certainly the more that I spoke with people, the more that, I did work here as a National Alumni Development Chair. I came to realize that, geez, this is the time that we need someone with a marketing, pretty heavy marketing skill set, someone who's been through, transitions, and more importantly, someone who's been able to produce results and make, change. When I was a kid, I would, literally sit in my room and, make some, notebook and make like fake trades for the Red Sox and, realign, baseball standings. And I love that. And it's kind of no surprise I went into a field of marketing where you're literally putting assets together, or they'd want to kind of come into a Grand President position to kind of put things back together. But, when I think about running for Grand President, as I have these conversations, like that feeling of excitement as like a kid is there. So, not only is it a motivating driver in terms of, a passion and the skill set for me, but it's also just really looking at this and, truly believing that, this is the right time with someone in my skill set to do it. And most importantly, some of the best times in my fraternal career has been, kind of coming over, working hand in hand to redefine regions, to redefine provinces, and to make some significant change. And it's been by working together and working with a bunch of people that do that, who are passionate. And with the passion that we're seeing right now and the tools that we have right now with this organization, if I'm lucky enough to win, that would be one of the greatest honors of my life. And to even be here now and have this opportunity is incredibly humbling. So, that's my motivation. That's my driver. And my youngest son, Thomas, honestly wants me to run and thinks I should win too. So I can't disappoint. I really can't disappoint my son as well. So. Oh, I think you might be in mute, Dito.
Oh, sorry about that. This next question, I'm gonna launch the province roll call, but I'm gonna ask a question first because I really want you guys to be able to answer it fairly, and you only have a minute and a half to answer it. So think about that while I launch the province roll call. And the question is, in a nutshell, one of the important things about being a leader, especially a Grand President, is your constituents need to trust you, not just the delegates, but the alumni brothers, the collegiate brothers. They need to be able to trust you. What are your ideas to rebuild the trust between the membership and the board, the membership and the Grand President, as you will be a new one, and just rebuild the trust and the brotherhood in the organization? And you get a minute and a half to answer that. So think about it, and I'm going to launch province roll call, guys. And with that, guys, while Cory and Paul are thinking of their answers, I'm launching the poll for province roll call, as with any regular FRAC event. Let's see which province is going to win it all on this one. Oh, this is interesting who's in last place right now, because usually they're pretty present. Couple more seconds, about 7 more seconds, guys, to get your votes in. What province are you claiming? I will say the 2 provinces that have the most people in it as of right now are the provinces that the GP candidates reside in. I bet that's not ironic at all. All right, thanks, James. You want to unmute and do that drum roll? Oh, he really did it. And it looks like Northeast has pulled this one out.
Just saying, don't mess with the Northeast beast. Just saying.
Okay, here we go. Oh gosh. All right. And Paul, why don't you start us off? What are you gonna? Yeah, Northeast. You guys go ahead and maybe someone should take a screenshot of the result. I'll take a screenshot of the results and I'll send it to Carrie and let her know that the South has fallen on this one. Paul, go ahead and tell us your brotherhood answer. Remember, you got 90 seconds to do so.
Yeah,
Time.
it's simple. It's all working together. It's establishing those joint standards of how do we want to work together, and really setting the tone from the beginning that we're in this as a team, and being open and available for questions, and admitting you're there for honest feedback. So that is how I would rebuild the trust.
All right, Cory.
I would continue to be genuine and show my character through my actions so people can get to know me through my actions versus my words. I want to make sure that people have a good understanding of who I am as a person, so they know that who they have elected to lead them as grand president is going to lead them with character and integrity. And I'll continue to put myself out there so people have an understanding that I will ask a question, I'll actively listen, and there'll be a comfortable environment for them to have a discussion. Whether we agree, whether we disagree, we are going to have a good, safe, healthy conversation, and we're going to move forward in a collaborative way together.
That's great. And now it's time for the lightning round questions. Some funny questions. I said this would be a casual tavern, and it is. And this question is a pretty important one to the FRAC brothers who are sponsoring this one. Cory and Paul, I think you know this, but you need to make it known for all your constituents. What is your ideal steak temperature? Whichever you want to answer first, go ahead.
I'll let you go first, Cory.
Well, this has been the most intense casual town hall I've ever been a part of, which is exciting, but I would go medium.
Yeah, I'm in the same thing. Not quite, daring enough to, to go kind of, raw, but, just a little danger.
Okay, and we all can agree, you should not order a steak well done with American cheese on purpose, right, candidates?
Exactly.
Can't do that.
I think as long as you guys agree with that, you guys are still in the running for the race.
Unless it's Saturday night, but okay.
All right, favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
I'm going out to pineapple. Pickle. Sorry, pickle is, I had it the first time 2 weeks ago, and it's a life changer. I encourage you all to try pickle on your pizza. Don't tell my grandmother. Luckily, she's not listening.
Pineapple or pickle for Paul, and pepperoni for Cory. Okay.
It's good.
Favorite Disney movie?
Toy Story. Does that count? It's Pixar.
Yes, that counts.
If Coco is Disney, I'm going to go with that. If not, I think, okay, good. I'm staying with Coco then.
Yeah. Coco, so team Disney Pixar over here. Okay. What's your favorite color and why? And if you say purple and gold, you're disqualified. Oh, and don't say yellow either, or violet. We don't.
Literally just took all my favorite colors, but it's I actually think it is Red Sox alternate jersey blue. There's just something about that. Just the blue and the red is just, oh, I love it.
Oh, goodness. I don't have a favorite color, but yeah, I would probably go sports theme too. The Twins have these baby blue jerseys that I love, so I'll go Twins baby blue. It's kind of like this, actually.
But not AK side blue, right? We're not.
No, are you kidding me?
Asking for a friend. Several.
Fun fact, I've actually, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Oh, I like cats. I'm an old man.
What's your favorite sandwich?
I like turkey and ham on any type of bread with Colby Jack cheese.
So my dad and I did Weight Watchers once, and I actually agree when they asked you what you miss for a sandwich. It is a nice, greasy Italian sub with just all the fixings, no huts, just all you just get so dirty eating it.
Nice. What's your favorite color tie to wear?
Whatever my wife picks out.
Can you ask that again, Vito? I didn't get it.
Favorite color tie to wear. Good answer, Paul. I'm sure he'll
Thank you.
appreciate that.
I've got this this purple one that I wear with yellow shirt. So I'd go that. It's got like a little paisley print to it.
Nice. I think I have a tie like that too as well. All right, NBA playoffs, guys. Bucks or Suns?
I'm gonna go Suns just because Chris Paul's been a great player for a long time. It'd be great to see him get a ring.
Yeah, for some reason, every time I think of the Suns, I think about Charles Barkley, and that's fun. So I'm going with the Suns on this one.
All right. And Cory, you said Suns too, right?
Yep.
Okay. Favorite band or musical artist?
So many good ones. Little Big Town.
So I'll go with Jason Aldean for this one. There's something about that, just like that hard, like pickup style country music that I love.
Now I know why I get along with you two so much. What's your favorite summertime activity?
We have to choose just one.
Just one.
Oh gosh. Being outside in general.
So yeah, we usually have Friday night lights here in the summer. So just at our fire pit, I try to turn on the Red Sox game. It gets turned off after about 4 pitches, but it's definitely out there at the fire pit.
Okay. If you're going to a movie theater, which I think most everyone in the country can do again, thankfully, what is your go-to candy? Or if you sneak candy into the film because they're expensive, what are you taking?
Paul, I keep going first. Do you want to go first on this one?
Oh, sure. I was thinking on that one. I'm like, I hope he had something. I'm a Junior Mint guy. Junior Mint and the Diet Coke.
I usually don't get candy, but if I do, it's those little cookie dough bites.
Ooh,
Oh,
good choice.
all right. What are our grand president candidates and irrational fears? Car washes, spiders, ovens. I don't know.
It's a shark. Like, it's terrible. My wife loves to go to Cape Cod. And like every time we go in the water, I think I'm gonna get eaten by a shark. And I only go to my ankles, but yeah, that's my thing.
I play a lot of ball sports, so like I always worry that I'm not going to be paying attention, and then a golf ball is going to smoke me in the face. So I always just try and be hypersensitive to that.
Okay, great. And if you could not rep your home baseball team, so no Red Sox and no Twins for you, Cory, who are you going with for a baseball game if you had your choice? And no, it can't be the Red Sox or the Twins are playing the other team that you went to. What team would you root for in the World Series, basically?
Oh, in the World Series, I have family in Chicago, so the Cubs are kind of they're my number 2.
First ballpark that I ever went to outside of Minnesota was Colorado Rockies, and the All-Star game was just there last night. So I would go Rockies, and then I love the folks in New York that are Yankees fans, but got to go Rockies.
It's funny. I shouldn't admit this on a recorded thing, but I actually love like those 1996 to 2002 Yankees. Like, it was all like true ball players, and then they got A-Rod, and
Yeah.
that lost it for me. Plus, there were great games between the Sox and them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Jeter coming up, and then Paul O'Neill out in right field and all that
I
stuff. That
loved
was
him.
awesome.
He was my favorite player. Then Trot Nixon came, replaced him right away.
What are your favorite? Name one of your favorite quotes? You cannot repeat what you said, Cory, even if you did with the DSP.
We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit.
And mine is Winston Churchill's "Never Give Up."
All right. And what is your favorite what's your favorite type of soda, pop, or Coke? And I think because none of us live below the Mason-Dixon line, I don't think any of us call them Cokes, unless you got Coca-Cola, but. Go ahead.
Diet Dr. Pepper is my jam.
I'll be a corporate guy here. I got 401k investments in Coca-Cola, so I'll go red Coca-Cola, the original.
I'm with you on that one, Cory. What does it say? If you were stranded on a desert island, what is the one thing you would make sure someone knew about you before you got stranded? So probably kind of a last message thing, but you're probably not gonna die on the desert island because you're resourceful people.
My flight path.
I would make sure that Anna and Finn knew that I love them and was going to be coming back to give them hugs all across.
Good answer.
All right. Where's one place you like to visit that you haven't visited yet?
I'm jealous of all these Delta Sigs taking African vacations. There is something about Africa in a safari that I totally want to do. England's great, by the way.
Oh, wow. I've done a ton of national parks and I've never been out of the country. So I don't really have one specific place, but anything that's tropical and kind of out there and secluded would be great. Open for suggestions if anybody has them.
Nice.
Arcadia is great.
What's your favorite board game or card game?
I would go 5 Crowns. It's a mix of a few different card games, but it's 3 through King, and then you got to get runs or pairs of everything, and it gets progressively higher. So it's an easy game to play with anybody. So don't have to think too hard, and it's fun.
Yeah, I'll go with blackjack with that one since the object is to get the 21. I could actually play it with my boys, which is fun. Win a few Cheez-Its here or there.
What is your favorite fiction book?
I had this big Dan Brown phase a couple of years ago. So I think it was Angels and Demons was actually the first one, but that got me into all like the Illuminati and all the Masons. So I think that'll be my first love.
Yeah, I don't read a lot of fiction, but I'd go back to my elementary school roots and say Goosebumps.
Thought that was true.
All right, and Cory and Paul, you can you answer this question out loud, and brothers, you answer the poll. We need to know what we're dealing with when we come to our next grand president. So, which Hogwarts house are y'all claiming?
I should probably admit I don't know much about houses, but Ravenclaw's in front of me.
Oh man, I took this quiz a while back because a few people were doing it, right? And I can't remember what it was, but after taking all those questions or whatever one Harry Potter was from, is it Gryffindor?
I think if I'm thinking back to 2019 GCC, I think you were sporting a Gryffindor tag.
Okay.
So, all right, brothers, last time to get in on the poll. Where your houses? Harry Potter is a Gryffindor.
Thanks, Eb.
All these Gryffindors. Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff tied, and 2 Slytherins.
A
lot of magical people here.
I wonder what would happen if one of you would have answered a Hufflepuff or a Slytherin. You know what? We're not gonna go. No, I know our brothers too well. I'm not gonna go there with y'all. Let's see what other questions did the brothers submit. How many states have you guys been to? We are including Puerto Rico in that one.
Oh, okay, that's it. I'm gonna go probably about 20. I'm honestly missing a lot of the western half, so I think probably about 20 is right. Which obviously it's more than just the west if it's less than half.
Yeah, I've been all over. I think I'm at 39. I'd have to look at a list though.
Cool. What's your guilty pleasure? Wait, who asked that? Yeah, what's your guilty pleasure?
It was
Cheese
my
curds.
wife.
Cheese curds.
Yeah.
And what did you say, Paul?
I hope that wasn't my wife who was asking to find out.
It was not. It was not.
Loving my wife.
Yeah.
It's
That's
Cheez-Its is my secret pleasure. I just am addicted. No, okay, good. My wife clarified it's not her.
It's not. It was not her, but someone in your province, though. I will say that.
I'm not surprised.
What's one of your favorite songs that are kind of give you inspiration or get you pumped?
Oh, I was literally just singing. I could see the karaoke machine. I was literally just singing this "Anything But Mine" by Kenny Chesney, because when I was first in RVP, Mark Chicheri was my PVP, so I literally listened to that and with my Discman on the plane to Cleveland, and literally every time I hear it, I just I think about that. It just jacks me up.
High Hopes by Panic at the Disco, which is the first song on my Grand President Spotify playlist.
Well played.
Nice. Ooh, coming from Mr. Reno over here, Cheez-Its or Cheese Nips?
Oh, you got to do the real thing. Cheez-Its.
Yeah, Cheez-Its. Paul, have you had those? That's like a Colby mixed cheese for the Cheez-Its. Have you had those? They're good.
No. Are they?
Yeah. Yeah, top notch.
I think I know what I'm doing tomorrow night.
What are the if you could choose a country, obviously we know this may because of insurance and all that other fun expensive stuff, this will probably never happen. But if you had to pick a country Delta Sigma Pi's Grand Chapter Congress would be held in, no Mexico, no Canada, where would you guys vote to have it?
I would go. Oh, go ahead, Cory.
No, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I go with England, London. I'm a fan of The Crown and Call the Midwife. And I used to have colleagues in London. It's a great city. I think it'd be great for us.
I think it'd be sweet to go to like New Zealand.
Yeah.
Sweet. I agree with both of those. And with that question, we also have a poll. GCC 2031. Where would you vote for us to have that Grand Chapter Congress? I mean, 2027, if we follow tradition, we should be in New Orleans. That leaves 2029 up for grabs. But 2031, when some of our young alumni may be running, where would you guys have it? We have Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for the Northeast, Milwaukee, Wisconsin for North Central, Memphis, Tennessee for the Southern, Dallas, Texas for South Central, Las Vegas, Nevada. Go see the Flintstones for the West, Fairbanks, Alaska, because you know whose tavern you're in. And if anyone decides we need another virtual one, Paul and Cory, you can answer yours out loud.
I've never been to Milwaukee. I'm sure if I win Grand President, I'll be there a bit. But I'm going for Milwaukee. There's something about that city. I'm an old AL Brewers fan, so I'm going with that one.
I would go Memphis, middle part of the country, a good place for people to meet up, cross a few different state lines, go to Graceland.
Nice.
Well, I bet you guys are not surprised by which one won on that one. Viva Las Vegas. Can we just get a lead back there? We had one years back. We're not going there for GCC Brothers, but maybe we can get Western Lead back there. FRAC Brothers are heading there next month, so we'll see if this is actually possible. But it looks like second place was actually Memphis, going to Bill Street. Nice. And then Milwaukee and Philadelphia were tied. I personally voted for Philadelphia though, so who knows? Maybe those will end up actually happening.
There's a will, there's a way.
I mean, Philly's a great city. I know a few Greeks that have had their national conferences there. So, a question from our favorite Star Wars people. Jedi or Sith?
I'm going to admit that I have watched one movie of the Star Wars in my entire life, so I don't even know how to accurately answer that question.
Yeah,
That's probably going to lose some votes, but just being honest.
I'm in the same spot, so we just cancel each other out.
Yeah, here's a question: Star Trek or Star Wars?
I'm a Trekkie.
Trekkie.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go Star Trek because I haven't seen any Star Trek, so I could watch one Star Trek, watch one Star Wars, make a decision.
And brothers, as I get the last round of questions, if everyone could go in the chat box and just shout out your alumni chapter and location, and our collegiate brothers that are still on the line with us, especially our collegiate brothers, shout out your collegiate chapters and what university you're at, so we can still see who's on the line. I know the alumni outnumber them a bit, but we see you guys out there. Here's an interesting question for you guys, which us being in the tavern about to end this, it makes proper. What is your beer of choice?
Mine would be a Crew Brew IPA, which is actually a brewery, actually, Vio, you were there. A brewery owned by a brother around the corner. So have to support local, have to support brothers.
Yeah, I've ran a Coors distributor and I've ran a microbrewery, but I'm gonna go Urban Growler Brewing, Cowbell Cream Ale. That's the first woman-only owned brewery in the state of Minnesota, and that's it's a really good smooth beer, good drink at any time.
Nice.
All right, domestic or what? I think this person is asking domestic beer or imported. I think that's what that means.
Depends on the mood. I lean towards domestic, I guess, but a Peroni is delicious every once in a while.
Yeah, Stella's in my fridge, but I try to do a craft or a local brewery on the Friday nights.
Cool. And taken from Cory, I think you said Little Big Town, so you're gonna know this one. Wine, beer, whiskey, whatever. If we're going with the hard stuff, are we going with the tequila, the whiskey, the vodka, or the rum? And the bourbons and scotch would fall into the whiskey family for this question.
Then I'd go whiskey, little Belvini 12-year-old double oak.
I'd go rum. We had rum during my honeymoon, so remind me of the good days. They're still good days, dear. Still very good days.
Paul, you got somewhere to sleep on the couch over there, or you need
I'm in the basement.
We'll see if Hillary's still on. She might just lock you down.
Sorry, guys, I can't run anymore. I'm, been kicked out of the country.
The door be like down there.
She's
here. She said, "Oh, I'm here."
Anyone need a roommate tonight?
Hey, James Cohn, do you want to do the FRAC recruitment shout out or what?
Join FRAC.
Really?
You're good. Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody found this tonight and everything. Be sure to let all of your brothers know about it and everything like that. This has been going, the FRAC Fridays and everything have been going on for over a year now, and it's pretty incredible for a group of brothers just kind of getting together just to keep in touch and everything, to see what it's kind of grown into and everything with all the different Facebook groups and everything like that, just to keep people connected. So it really is pretty awesome to know that no matter where you are, if you can hop on it or not, there's brothers that are still getting together. Obviously we'll be getting back in person soon. Some of us already have, but I think that it's a great way to keep things going and try to involve those brothers that, may not have, a lot of brothers around them and they feel disconnected from the fraternity. So, we never know exactly where we're going to end up in life and everything. So, reach out to your brothers, like I said, let them know about it, and, have them just kind of stay involved with us. So, yeah. So I'm sure there's, there we go. I was just getting ready to say if we had any of the, there it all is. It's like you're reading my mind.
James, between James and Bart, they do the best FRAC recruitment speeches. It's basically exactly what James said. I don't know what week we're at, and I don't want to know because that's kind of depressing as heck to find out how long the pandemic has lasted. But with that, I know the brothers are probably going to want to get into the more brotherly time. So thank you everyone for coming out. Cory and Paul, thanks for being here. This
Thank you.
event is being recorded, so this weekend it will be uploaded to YouTube. The link will be posted out on the FRAC page and also in the event group on Facebook. So just look out
Awesome.
for it. And with that being said, proud to be a Delta Sig. Elections are almost over. GCC is almost here, and cheers to the new fraternity year.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. This was awesome. And Cory, great to chat with you.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's great to be together even in this environment. So it's good to
Yep.
see you, and thanks for having all of us and